Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, young and old, welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good in the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Harry. I am co-hosting here with Rafe. I think this is the first time with me here in the new studio with just you on the other end, as opposed to this big four-way call that we had last week.
Well, we had the four-way call. We had the joint call with after the eclipse. We had the time when I was in your office there. I mean, it's been a whirlwind of variation outside of the typical buffness. Let's just say this: although it has been outside the typical norms of the high level of sophistication of podcasting that our listeners are used to.
Regularly expecting.
Yeah, so they've been expecting that. And you know why they expect it, Harry? Because the buff delivers. And even though it has been a different thing, it's kind of like, it's multidimensional. It's not like you can just say it was better or worse. There were some different things, and you need to measure things on more than one axis. But our listeners, our great listeners, are the reason we are a global top 10% podcast. And for that, we are forever grateful. As usual, you can reach us at bufnagle@bufnagle.com. Remember to share the love, share the buff, get a friend to listen, and you will get a free episode. Give us a 5-star. Just do that, okay? I mean, come on, go there. Somewhere on there, on your phone or your thing, is a place where you can give us a great review. At least give us a rating of 5 stars, and then say something nice about us. We can, I'll say this.
You know what? Tell your mother, tell your mother-in-law, and have them both listen, because everyone knows that mothers are the most supportive people on the planet.
That's a really good point. That is the thing you should do. You should get, and then you should guilt them. You should guilt them as well to do these sorts of things. Remember to subscribe, hit the follow button or the subscribe button, give us a like, a smiley star. And like I said, tell a friend to listen, and you will get a free episode. And if we get a good review, then we all get cookies and brownies. And what do you get? Granola, Harry? Is that what cookies?
Sometimes Jamie rewards me with dark chocolate chips.
All right. Well, there you go. Just a bag.
Just a bag.
That's all you need.
When I was a kid.
That's all you need. We are going to do some listener questions today.
Yes.
Is that right?
I think that's right. And, I'm just going to go ahead and get right out of the gate here. The
Okay.
Kentucky Derby was today on the day of recording. And the first question that we have.
Wait, before you go there. Okay. So the Kentucky Derby
finish, right?
It was apparently, and they had said this is like one of the closest finish. They'll have to go back and check this out. But not only was it a photo finish, it was a tie for second by a nose to the first place horse.
Wow.
Okay, so first place and then second and third were a nose. I mean, it really was, it was this far behind.
So it was all three of them.
Oh, you didn't watch?
I didn't watch.
Oh, it was okay. So
I was picking pizza. Remember?
Yeah, I know you were doing pizza thing, but it was very. I love horse racing. Just at least the big races.
At least 3 times a year.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I can't get into like the following the horse and betting and all this stuff. I just like to watch them race because they are so fast and the good ones are so good. But I was watching that horse that won somewhere like in the third turn. And I was like, that horse I said to your mom, I said, that horse is pinned in there against the rail. That he's trying to, and you could see him. He's trying to sneak by whoever was in the lead and squishing him into the rail. And then a little window opened up and zoom, he shot through there. And then he took that all the way to the finish line. But the other 2 horses, the finished second and third, they were bumping against each other, riding like, it was like stock car. I mean, it was NASCAR on a dirt track there in Louisville. And I think it took energy for them to keep pushing off each other. I think if either one of them would have let the other one go, they would have won it. But,
they could have gotten first and second instead of second and third.
or either first and third or third and first, or anyway, it could have been a little bit different, but I think that's all. What do they say? If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. That's what they say, right?
That's something like that.
All right. So back. Okay. Yes, we are recording here on the Saturday before the Tuesday when it drops. So Harry, you said it was the Kentucky Derby and you were going somewhere with that before I rudely interrupted.
I was going to say that we'd just get off to the races and talk immediately about what we want to talk about. But now we're 3.5 minutes in and we've already derailed.
Sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party. All right. So,
all right. So the first question of the night or of the evening, morning, wherever you are, is bufnagle an acronym for... Sorry, so all the listeners out there who doesn't have the buff in front of them because you're listening in the car, BUFNAGLE, right? Bringing you, the letter U, fantastic and, not and, awesomely good life experiences.
Well, is bufnagle an acronym for that? And we have never done the origin story. Now, a few people know that. We have told some people the origin story under a strict non-disclosure.
We do have an NDA. We will send it out to all listeners. Send us an email.
If you would like to get the official origin story, send us the appropriate documentation, and we will release that to you. And,
passport, social security number, date of birth.
Yeah, and that bank account number. Is it an acronym for bringing you fantastic and awesomely good life experiences? Well, it is an acronym for that, but that's not where it comes from, I guess is the way to say that. Harry, my father did this talk once, and this is it's an old family story. I'm sure you've heard this. He was giving it. He's a pediatrician and a general fitness doc guy. And he was giving a talk to, I don't know, some nurses or to high school moms or somebody about exercise. And if you're giving a talk at the, a 15-minute talk at the PTA meeting or something like that, it's always good to have a little, to follow
zinger.
that. Well, a zinger, but then follow that 5-paragraph essay kind of thing, where you tell them what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, right? That's that sort of thing. And so his thing was, it was about exercise, this talk was, and he said exercise should be fun, F-U-N, okay? And F-U-N was as an acronym for, it's actually more of a mnemonic, right? It's an acronym, mnemonic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Help you remember what exercise should be. So, and I said, well, that's great. What are the letters? What does F stand for? He said, well, F stands for fun. Exercise should be fun. Right? There's no sense working out if you don't enjoy it. It's like, well, I think that
now we're just down to un.
Yeah. Well, see, but it's fun, right? Okay. So it's like, I told him, I don't think, although there are rules to definitions. You can't use the word you're defining in the definition, right? I mean, that's one of the rules, but I don't think there's rules around acronyms. So I let that one go when he told me that exercise should be fun. I said, okay, well, great. What does the U stand for? And he said, well, it's for you. Why?
For whom else is exercise?
Yes. Don't do exercise for somebody else. Don't do it for your kids. Don't do it for your spouse. Don't do it for your grandmother. Do it for you. Right. So F stands for fun, and U stands for you. I said, okay, what does N stand for? And he said, N stands for enough. I said, enough? Yeah, like enough. There's no need to, if you're just going out there to get regular amounts of exercise, then you don't need to train like you're training for the Boston Marathon or something. You just, you do enough, and that will be that's a good thing. And I remember being flabbergasted that he could get away with what I considered such a terrible mnemonic. But then I recognized
that you remembered it.
It has been now over 20 years since I've heard him just give the outline of this talk. And now I know what's in the talk. And F stands for fun, U is for you, and N is for enough. And you could think of bufnagle as being an acronym for bringing you fantastic and awesomely good life experiences. If you want to think of it that way, we would be honored. But if you want to hear the origin story, you're either going to have to wait for that episode, or you'll have to send us an NDA. And
no. They need to send us an email for the request for the NDA.
Yeah, right. And we'll have conversations. And you know where to reach us, Harry. Where do they reach us?
buffnagle@buffnagle.com, or you can also reach us specifically for the NDA at legal@buffnagle.com.
Yeah. Legal@buffnagle.com. If you, or just buffnagle@buffnagle.com. They essentially go to the same place, but then they get, we spread it out to the staff depending on who's.
We have our guys talk to your guys kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll make it work out, but somebody will get back to you in due time. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, so does that answer the question, Harry? The
question was, is it an acronym? And the answer is yes, it can be, but it is not the origin.
Yeah. So there you go. Okay, second question. Okay, so I'll take this one, Harry. So because I'm actually going to kick it to you. So it says, given that Harry is now or soon out of the Army, can he share his story of how he got in, where he was, what he did, and why did he get out when he got out? So we need your Army story. You've got 45 minutes.
I joined the Army and now I'm out. So, okay, we'll take this in, 5 parts, right? The first is, given that Harry is now out of the Army.
Yes, that's true.
The answer is yes, I am out of the Army. I did 4 years at West Point, followed by 8 years and 11 months of active duty service in field artillery and civil affairs in the Army. So now I am officially, all ties have been cut to the military. I owe 0 years. I owe 0 years in the reserves. I owe 0 years in the inactive reserves. I have a fresh, clean slate, as they may say.
I assume you got you were discharged honorably, or
yes. I have an honorable discharge sitting in the safe.
Okay,
right? And I have scanned copies and all that kind of thing.
All right, and when was that official termination date?
So official termination date was May 1st. So it'll be 8 days after, or 8 days before this podcast dropped.
Yeah, so this will drop on this. For, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, so May 1st. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, congratulations.
Listening to this day of. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service, as they say. And you know what? I know you can answer this question for us along that line. I know people say that they got military or anybody who's done time helping out other folks. Thank you for your service. I got to believe that's a good thing to hear, right? I mean,
it's a nice thing to hear as long as it's not sarcastic.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what happens a lot of times is people, especially once 9/11 happened, early 2000s, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan went further and further on, and then veterans, it's been over 20 years since the attacks on the Twin Towers. People, in a way, got so tired of hearing "thank you for your service" that it just became a parody of itself, where other military members would tell each other, "Well, thank you for your service," and then the other guys will be, "Oh yeah, thanks.
Thank you for your service." Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Or it became "thank me for my service," and it became this sarcastic banter between all different types of individuals. But to answer your original question, yes, it does. It's nice as long as it is sincere, and I think from a lot of people, as long as they're not too close to the military, it is sincere.
So you went through. So you did high school ROTC.
So this is the second part of that sentence.
Oh, okay.
Question, right? Can you share your story of how you got into the Army? So I did, back in high school, I did 4 years of the junior ROTC thing in high school, which is more or less the Army's version of introducing leadership and military service, patriotism, kinds of ethics, how to be a good civilian and a good citizen to high schoolers.
So you get to wear your uniform on Fridays
or Wednesdays or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever day it was. Yeah, okay.
And then try to get away with hair regulations.
Right.
An ongoing thing for me in 13 years. So I did that for 4 years, and I think I remember at one point in time I told you and Mom, and I'm not sure if you remember this. I said, "I'm not going to have you pay for college for me."
Oh, all right.
And you were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever." Just kind of blew it to the side and said, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." I had a cousin who's 2 years older than I am, who did ROTC at Niagara University, and that was a good route to have college paid for.
Yep.
I had a lot of other cousins who were thinking doing some higher, like Ivy League or pseudo Ivy League, I guess public school Ivy Leagues, for applying for universities and such, and not wanting to be outdone. I decided I'll combine those two and I'll apply for West Point. So yeah, I did that. I applied for West Point, got accepted, and then did that for 4 years.
Now, in order to get in there, though, you have to get, yours was a little bit odd as far as the nomination process goes.
Yeah.
Right?
So the general nomination process for West Point is 2 parts. One, you have to be accepted by the academy itself, which is all of your leadership, sports, extracurriculars, academics, all rolled up into one. And then you also have to get a nomination from a congressman or senator. Now, that's a very broad statement, congressman or senator. And then there's a couple of slots for like presidential nominations or Medal of Honor recipient children nominations. And then there's a couple of ROTC nominations and then active duty nominations as well, right? So those are all minor.
Right. Yeah.
I was fortunate.
Not less important minor. They're just not as common. Right?
Not as common. Right.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to have my junior ROTC instructor write up a letter of nomination to get accepted by ROTC writ large. So the college ROTC that said, like, yes, this guy who has been in junior ROTC can be accepted by West Point. So I was I was part of the minority of nomination profiles to get accepted to West Point.
Yeah, so you didn't get a nomination from a
congressman.
Congress. Yeah.
No, I did not.
No, so there were like 1,200 kids in your class when you started, right? And yep. so there's give or take 550 of those congressional nomination things going around, give or take. 530.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
So where the other 700 come from?
Well, that's not quite true. You say that there's 500-ish, but every single senator or congressman has 10 to give.
Oh, 10. Okay.
10 to give. And I think those are also spread across all of the service academies. So if I'm Senator A from Massachusetts, I pick 10 high schoolers for which I write up a nomination. And then that also has to get matched by the academy.
Right.
So I can get accepted by the congressman, but denied by the academy.
Okay.
Or vice versa. You have to both.
All right. And so you did that, and then you got your little packet in the mail.
I did. I got the packet in the mail. In October.
Yeah.
Of my senior.
Yeah.
My senior year.
I'm already.
I was like, all right, Mom, Dad, I don't have to do any more high school this year. Which is not true. If there's any high schoolers out there listening to Bufnagle podcast, do all of your work, because in the spring it might come back to bite you when you break your hand. You break your hand playing rugby and you get medically disqualified from West Point. Yeah.
Okay. So in order to do that, you were playing rugby in the spring.
I was, much to Mom's chagrin. Like, he's going to get hurt, and he's not going to be able to go to West Point. He's not going to
get hurt. He won't get. What could go wrong? So you made a tackle, right? Or got tackled?
I made a tackle, or I think I got tackled, and I landed on the ball funky. Ended up having a boxer's fracture on my 4th metacarpal.
And you're on your right hand?
On my right hand.
So.
And I thought it was, like you have a lot of adrenaline pumping through when you're playing sports. So I looked at my hand. I was like, wow, that's a really bad jammed finger. And I am pulling on my broken hand as hard as I can, twisting
to pop it back into joint, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, that's not working. It just feels funky. So I'll just keep playing. And that was during the first half of the game. And I played the whole second half of the game with a broken hand.
Yeah. And then we had you x-rayed. And then the question was, we called the recruiter person.
The question becomes, do you do the technically right thing on paper, which is submit paperwork to West Point saying, I have a medical injury that I did not diagnose on my physical because it came up between the physical and the first reporting day.
Right. Or do you just kind of just ignore it and
not do anything and have them look at me later?
Now, what would be possible when you got there on the first day? They gave you some kind of physical, right?
They did. Yep.
Right.
And then that would have come up.
And that would have come up and you would not have reported it. And then it would have been a bad thing.
Well, in all reality, it probably would not have been anything.
Okay. Unless you
That's
had
just how those things work. Unless I had hardware in my hand where I couldn't do things like grip a rifle or do push-ups or all of these other types of things.
Okay. So you went through a series of, so we sent x-rays like every 2 weeks or something like that to, to get them evaluated to see if you had progressed far enough. And in the end,
I got a medical waiver.
You got a waiver. So then you were back in. So you were in October. You were out in like April, wasn't it?
It was on Ash Wednesday.
Oh, it was Ash Wednesday. Oh,
right. So I don't know if you remember this. I broke my hand on Ash Wednesday, and then I got my acceptance, or I guess my waiver on Easter.
On Easter, okay. Well, see,
talk about a Lent.
There you go. That was a Lent of during that time it was like, well, what are you going to do if you don't go? And they said, well, we'll hold a spot for you next year. And you were like, but what am I going to do this year? And you're like, I can't just hang out at the rugby pitch.
I can't live in the basement.
Yes. So there was a lot of discussion about what can you do and what can you not do, and it turned out that that became a moot point.
That's right.
And then in when did you go? Late
June.
Late June. You show up and
late June. I showed up to West Point so I guess we can kind of talk about West Point very quickly here. Otherwise, it becomes a weeks and weeks podcast type of thing. I will shorten down West Point down to about 2 minutes. I did, Beast Barracks, which is like West Point's initial entry training or basic training type of thing for 6 weeks. I did. And then during the year, you're focused on academics. You do summer training. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like, what is summer school? So I did lots of field training every single summer. And then I graduated in 2015 with a Bachelor of Science in Geospatial Information Studies because my father introduced me to GPS at age like 8.5.
Yeah.
And that seemed to have stuck with me.
I know you can't see them, Harry, but there's satellites up there and they're sending a signal.
Yeah, right. And you need 4 of them to triangulate your position and time.
Yes.
Wow, this is so cool, Dad. So
you had your own little GPS, if I remember right.
I did. I mapped out the creek behind our house, if I remember as well. So I got the degree. Did artillery at Fort Sill was initial officer training,
and that's in Oklahoma.
It's in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, outside of Lawton, so south of Oklahoma City, and then moved to Tacoma, Washington, where I was there for just shy, about 3.5 years. And then I applied for and got accepted for Civil Affairs, which is a subcomponent of Special Operations. And then moved to Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, North Carolina. And I did that for just shy of 5 years. And then I decided to get out. I know I didn't really say anything what I did in the military.
You had to learn Russian, didn't you?
Yeah. So I guess we'll back up a little bit. Artillery stuff. I spent 4 months in the Pacific in a couple of different countries. I went to South Korea, Thailand, and the Philippines. We did a lot of joint training with the armies over there, shooting our artillery at the same time they shoot their artillery at the same location, not at each other. Important distinction.
At the same time, it's like, we hit it. No, that was us. No, that was us.
And then the radio goes out.
Yeah.
So I did that, which was really neat. I came back with an appreciation of probably Asian cuisine, which I enjoyed.
Good.
And then switched over to the civil affairs side of things just because I wanted to work on a more, I'd say it's probably work on a smaller team. Our civil affairs teams are 4 people. During my time in artillery, I had a 7-man team, and then I had a 32-person platoon. I enjoyed the 7-man team a lot more. It's just more close-knit and able to work with the soldiers a little bit better. So I thought I could do the same thing in civil affairs, which I pretty much did.
And that moved you to North Carolina.
That moved me to North Carolina, where I met Jamie, and then got married, 9 or 10 months later.
And now you have your own 4-person team.
And now I got my own 4-person team. So it's it's all worked out great. Except the younger two are sometimes a liability.
Yeah, they're not pulling their weight yet, but they're still in training, I guess.
That's right.
All
One
right.
of them holds screwdrivers for me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Will she do that? And she doesn't like drop it the wrong, like into your eye or something like that? Or
No, or like down an air vent or something.
no, that never happens. Don't.
No, she does great. She has become a very good little helper
Oh, that's great.
with lots
That's
of
great.
different things.
All right.
So civil affairs, I had to do about a 1.5 year long training course, of which 6 months of it was learning Russian. It was a lot of fun. I became the way I described it was I could probably get out of Moscow and get back to the United States relatively easily if you just plopped me down there, and I had to get back. So a working proficiency. That's what they described it.
But you are not the machine.
I'm not. Well, I probably speak better Russian than the machine. Sorry, Bert.
All right.
But yeah, and then I had one deployment to Albania, Kosovo, and Macedonia in the Balkans. And then afterwards, when I came back, Andrew was born. And at that point in time, I'll be switching out here to the last part of the question of why did I get out of the Army when I did, is I realized now I had 2 kids at home. I had just left Jamie to be pregnant for 7 months by herself with a toddler, and I wasn't around at all. And I decided I don't want to do that, and I don't want to miss a lot of life events. And the military, especially civil affairs, does a good job of making sure that I don't miss really big life events, births, weddings, funerals, that type of thing. There's not as much of an emphasis on the first dance recital or the little piano recital or soccer practice on a Tuesday.
Right.
Especially over the course of 6 months, when I'm deploying for 6 months every 18 months or every 24 months or however long the time period is. I made the decision that my family is more important to me than chasing after all of this excitement and adventure that the Army has to offer.
And you had done your commitment at West Point required you to stay for how long?
The West Point commitment is 5 years in active duty and 3 years in what's called the inactive reserve.
Okay.
Which is just like your name's on a list. If they need people, they call you up.
Okay. And then, so the fact that you did your 5 years and then you went longer, and
I fulfilled the rest of the requirement.
So at that point, and that's why you're completely
that's why I'm scotch-free.
Out. All right. Well, that's fun. And so now you're all good, unless this becomes like one of those Bruce Willis movies or something like that, or like a Sylvester Stallone thing. And I was out, now you want me back in, kind of thing, right? That's not.
Jamie's like, you're going to have a company phone for this new job and all these things. And you might not have to, you're going to be on these business trips for a week every once in a while. I think you're still secretly in the Army doing secret missions. So we said we're going to tell Olivia that and see what she thinks, because she still thinks I'm a spy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, she never really knew what you were doing, and you were in Albania, and that's kind of exotic.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So that's good. I think that answers that question, right? You state your story,
sure.
Okay? Where you were, what you did.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Then how you got out? All right.
So I'm out. I shared things. I said where I was. Generally said what I did, and now I'm out. And I definitely appreciate it. Right? It was a good run. I ran the race.
And you did. There's different ways. Some of the guys you graduated with, they did their 5 years to the day, and they stepped out, and they're the 3 years inactive reserve, right? So and other people are career guys. Do any of the guys that I know still rolling along in there?
Oh yeah, definitely
okay.
A couple of them.
All right. Well, that's how it goes. And there's a new set of second lieutenants coming out
in like a week and a half.
In a week and a half. So good timing.
3 weeks.
Yeah, they'll slide somebody into that space for you. So, all right, very good. All right. Should we do this next one?
We'll do the next one. The next one I think is more geared towards you.
Yeah, I guess so.
It is geared towards you. It has your name in it.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Why is Rafe going to Europe? And this art thing seems kind of out of character. What exactly is the program? And more importantly, what will happen to the show?
Okay. So to reiterate, because this came up a question, so what exactly is this thing? I'm going to summer school for essentially 8 weeks in France and in Belgium. 2 weeks in Bar, Barr, France, which is in the Alsace region. It's a little tiny town where there's, I guess, people that know certain craftsmanship things that they're going to teach us. And then then we go to Bruges in Belgium, and we learn other things that people there know how to do it. And it is sponsored by, I said this before, the La Table Ronde de l'Architecture, and it is a nonprofit organization. You can look these guys up. If you type that thing into the Google machine, you can get all the information about the program. I have the program now here. I have this little booklet that they gave us with all the dates and times, what we're doing every day down to the hour.
Wow.
Lecture on this. Lecture and roundtable on the spirit of Gothic architecture on the 24th of July. So that's what we'll be doing on the 24th of July between 1 and 2 p.m.
When are you going there to start?
The first class starts on the 1st of July. So it's right.
So you're going to do something for July 4th, right?
I will try to do something for July 4th. Yes. Well, I do not know what it will be.
You're going to cook up like hot dogs or something?
I will try to spend those first couple days convincing people that we should celebrate the American independence in grand American red, white, and blue top hat kind of style.
And say that it was good for the French.
Well, it was good for the French, and the French helped us out. So that was
cook them a barbecue in thanks for the revolution.
I should do that. I should get, and if it was a classic American barbecue, it would have everything. We'd have brisket, and we'd have bratwurst, and we'd have frankfurters, and we'd have hamburgers, and we would have we would have tacos,
bacon grilling on the side.
Yeah, we'd have salmon. We would have that. That is the great thing about the immigrant nature. Immigrants take a lot of crap here in the U.S. because a few bad apples do some bad things. But I tell you, I think the American melting pot idea is just phenomenal. You come over here and you get freedom, and we get tacos, or
if you're German, we get beer,
or we get bratwurst, or we get whatever you're bringing over, and it's a great. You walk down any main street, and there's just food from all over the world there, and it's a wonderful thing as long as it doesn't get too homogenized. Then it gets a little sad. So I'm going to be doing that summer school thing, and it does seem a little out of character. Why am I doing this? Why am I not doing a statistics course in Kalman filtering, or in noise reduction and time series analysis, or something like that? And I'm trying to figure out exactly why I'm doing this. And I came to learn about this thing through some of the Twitter stuff I follow. And somebody said, you can apply. And I applied, and I figured I'll never be able to get in, but then I did. So now I get to do something fun.
I was going to say, you questioned, why am I doing this kind of thing? And I think I know the answer. And this also comes back to the I'm retired. Where did I have all of this time? Right. I think if we're made Imago Dei, which we've reiterated multiple times on this show, is that we're made to create.
Yes.
So and creating is more than just doing arts and crafts kinds of things, but it should be representation of man in some capacity, right? If that's sculpting or carving or creating or drawing or art or literature or philosophy, the arts is more than just what the arts have become in American society. I think a lot of people look at the arts now and say, oh, you just made a painting. It's like, well, there's a lot of things that go into the paint, especially if it's good art, not just these guys that like pour paint on top of a canvas.
I think we will spend some time talking about some of the modern art things. This is a course, or not a course. It is a program focused pretty much on what I'll call traditional architecture and crafts. So I don't think we'll be building a lot
things
of
that represent the spirit of man.
Well, or things that point toward man's desire to glorify God, and the
desire to transcend.
Yes, the art is designed to bring you up, to inspire you to do great and to fulfill your nature. You should see the reading list, Harry, for this.
Oh, there's a reading list too.
Oh, yes, there's a reading list. I've already started.
Is it in French or English?
Well, no, it's in English. Some of the books were in French and they've been translated. So this is the list. I mean, you can't. It is what is there? Is there other? I'm sorry, I'm in trouble with the camera.
Oh man, there's too many lines.
Yeah, I bet there's 15 or 20 books on there, and these are books. I mean, these are. Some of them are like written in the 1800s. Some are 1930. Some are 1990. There's all sorts of stuff in here. And I kind of started at the top and tried to there's no way I'm going to be able to finish all that stuff. But you're right. I think it is a way for me to do something I haven't really done. The last art class I took was, okay, I took drafting as part of 6th grade shop, but we also had art class where I made chessmen out of clay or something like that. I tried to paint in oils, and I couldn't. I have no skill in there. And then I guess we did. And then I took a drafting class in college as well. So that's it. That's
this is like average 20-year-old Rafe applied for this course.
Yeah.
20-year-old ability Rafe applied with 55-year-old intellectual Rafe.
Yeah, so I know some shortcuts now. So like I'm doing things in the workshop, and I think I sent some pictures to you today. Like I've started carving some things. I'm making a picture frame for a map that is it's the principal monasteries. It's called something like the principal monasteries of the Occident, which is the West. And there's all these little dots. For me, I love it because it's highly granular data when you zoom in. It's a great map, and I wanted an appropriate frame for that. So I'm going to I'll build a frame, and then I will carve on it slogans and mottos that are relevant to the religious orders that are represented in the map.
I think your exact words were pithy slogans.
Yes. Well, they have to be pithy because I can't. I don't have the time to carve. What would be the word?
Like Salve Regina all the way across.
Yeah. Well, I could put I thought about doing that, but it's so hard. Harry, you carve some wood things. I'm having trouble making letters in wood with. I bought a basic set of chisels. And I've been working on that now, and I've learned some things. I haven't cut my fingers yet, which is really, really good. But I've learned some techniques, and I'm practicing some more on some scrap wood before I get to the real stuff. But so that's the kind of thing I'm doing. And I talked to a guy. I guess I was an adult, and I was talking to a young guy in college, and he had taken, maybe it was high school. He had taken like all the classes that his school offered in a particular discipline. And I said, well, you ought to take something else. You ought to take art class or something. And he goes, oh, I'm a terrible artist. I would never want to take art. And I was like, well, that's why you take the class. So Part of that is fulfillment of that chastisement on myself is to go to a place where I'm not going to be comfortable, where I will be outgunned by 15 to 20 young whippersnappers that can mop the floor with me. But I will be comfortable knowing that it's okay if I don't know. I'm there to learn, and we'll see what happens. So that's where I'm going. That's what I'm going to do. And the show will go on. We are working on developing a formal plan for that. We will record some things early and set them in the queue to drop. And otherwise, there may be some updates from afar if we do it that way.
Yeah, if you want to be part of the show, again, reach out to us at bufnagle at bufnagle.com.
We'll send you the application.
We'll send you
along with the NDA.
Your guys talk to our guys.
Yeah.
And you could be part of the buff. So don't hesitate to be part of the show during Rafe's hiatus. I'll be continuing hosting duties. We may even have some pre-recorded episodes to drop to ease the possible solo and or me and a brand new podcaster.
A rogue guest.
A rogue guest. You may come back to a rogue crew.
You never know. It's like that will be a thing. We'll see what happens. I'll be there and I'll look on a Tuesday morning and I'll be like, what is this that I see on my podcast machine? So
I don't think I edited this one.
So, all right, those are the questions for this week. And like we always appreciate you guys sending things in. So please feel free to do that as usual. Bufnagle at bufnagle.com.
That's right. And we remind everybody to seek the good, live virtuously, and flourish. And enjoy the adventure of life. It's going to be a great day.